Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Hart. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hey! So welcome back to Beyond the Box, where Brenda, for some reason this weekend, has had a heck of a time with these shows scheduling. We're listed as upcoming on Rumble, but apparently I have to go in there and go push something, I think. I'm not sure. But we're going to do this show anyways. And I have been up all night long, so this ought to be kind of fun. Susie, how's your day been?
Okay, except for I'm over here
Trying to
messenger
figure
with
out.
Christine. Yeah, trying to get she's in London, or well, not London. She's in England, so we're having issues trying to get into the link here.
Oh no.
I sent her your page, so maybe she can send you. Okay. Maybe she can go to your messenger, check your messenger.
I've got the tab up. I can see if somebody comes through. So let's go ahead and do you want to do a prayer first, or do you want to go ahead and read that thing about her?
Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
Her name is Christine J. Hart. Christine Hart. She is a survivor, a best-selling author. She is also psychic. And I am so lost on why we can't get her in here. This is crazy. Stop.
Okay, I sent you, Brenda. I sent you her her thing on Messenger. If you can go to Messenger, and then you can send her the link directly. Since I tried saying it, it's not working. So,
unfortunately, at my house, doing shows during the day is kind of rough because everybody's awake. Oh no. I don't know what you sent me, but I'm trying to sign into my own show.
No. I sent you the last one I just sent was her.
I just clicked on it, and it put me into where it wanted me to join the show. So I don't know why it's
I know. I
working.
told you I sent you that earlier.
Yeah.
By accident. Yeah.
The only thing that I can think of is she doesn't have Google Chrome on whatever it is she's trying to sign in on.
Okay.
So that's usually the only way that does it. Hello, Julie, Kyle, Denise, Norma. Wait, did Norma make it over here to this side? I have no idea what I did, guys. And I have been up all night long working on that and Rumble and nothingness. Okay. Yeah.
Check your.
Incredible.
Check your.
I'm looking.
Oh shoot! Dang, it didn't go through. Okay.
Well, that would.
I don't know. Okay.
Technical difficulties while we're online. What on earth is happening here? Okay. Let's see. I just got something. Wait a minute. Well, Kabooby, what is this? All right, I'm gonna send a message. Shoot.
She's wondering if you can do it on Zoom. No, we're not on Zoom.
No, I don't have a Zoom. I don't care too much for Zoom. All right, I just sent it directly to her
Okay.
in her message.
Okay.
So
She
hopefully
just. Okay, I'll tell her.
she'll get it.
All right, I just talked. Oh, so yeah, Chris. I've known Christine. Oh my gosh, since I guess 2014.
Really?
So yeah, that's like 10 years now, going on 11, right?
Yeah.
And Christine lived in the United States for a little while, and they sent her. She's a fantastic researcher, and they sent her all over to investigate stuff because she's really good at what she does. And she does a lot of stuff for because she was an orphan and grew up in a Catholic um, orphanage,
Oh.
and so she does a lot of stuff for other children that are gone through that because she had a really bad situation. Uh, what I read on her deal was a real bad situation trying to reconnect with her original family. Didn't go so well.
Oh.
So, you know, so
I know how that is.
yeah. But I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like growing up in England in a Catholic orphanage. Can you even imagine?
Well,
Oh wow. I mean,
I mean there is bad things about that, definitely, I would have to say.
yeah,
Really bad things.
yeah, it's not the ideal situation, you
Right.
know. And but I think it made her a strong person who she is today, you know.
Right.
And she's interviewed people like David Icke, and you know, she's done a lot of really great interviews and stuff. And she's was interviewed Max Spears, and so she's really, you know, done a lot, and you know, talked with a
Right.
lot of people. So I hope we get her in here. You
Yeah.
know?
Hey, I want to do a poll, you guys. I'm thinking about adding another show or two a week. Um, what do you guys think? You think I should do that? I don't know if it's going to be daytime, nighttime. Um, Tommy wants to do some. And so we're thinking about adding that. What do you guys think? You think we should add another show? Uh, oh, somebody's talking about a song. Kyle was talking about a song at a wedding. Okay. But yeah, we're thinking about adding some shows, and hopefully I don't do this mess. This is the first time this has ever
She said she
happened.
hasn't got it yet, Brenda. Okay, she hasn't got anything yet from you. I don't know.
What? I sent her a friend's request. I sent it in a message. Um, yeah, she has to go to her messenger under me. I did send her a friend's request. Tell her to accept it.
Okay. Yeah. She's showing me, she screenshotted her thing. There's nothing from you. Okay.
Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. She might have to accept my friend's request because I sent it to her. And I sent her a friend's request. I don't know why are we having, let me tell y'all something. So I have discovered that when you delete a show with YouTube and then you go in to create that same show under different stuff, that it still hangs on to that and repeats it. That's why we're getting multiple places where it's being viewed. But yet I have done everything that Rumble's asked me to do. And we were even scheduled for upcoming show, and it doesn't work. It's not live on Rumble. I don't even know what's going on. This has been a bad weekend. We've been doing these shows since January. This is the first time I've ever had a problem with the scheduling. Ever. Because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I just don't understand why this stupid thing. Look it up. Oh. Hi, Julie.
I know I'm trying to look at the comments, but I'm too busy texting Christine. So
Julie, get
sorry.
dressed. If we can't get Christine in here, come on in.
Right?
Julie.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're right, Kyle. They do. It's horrible. That's why I've been trying to get set up on Rumble, because over there it's they still do the same thing, but it's better and they let a lot more slide. I'm even paying for Rumble and I can't use it. No video for me today. Look at me. Julie, I've been up all night.
Well, that I got into the link. I don't understand why she can't.
I don't know. I have no idea. They're not letting her come on here, apparently.
Uh-huh.
And
Maybe because she's in England. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're blocking her.
well, I'm going to tell you.
I mean, David Oates comes on from Australia.
Australia, yes.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people from Australia. So, yeah. I don't know.
Right?
Kyle's going, come on, Julianne. Do it, girl.
Yeah, Julie, we may, need some backup here. Backup for our backup.
If you brush your hair, Julie, you'll be one step up from me. Because I don't even think I did that. I was just like, okay. It's terrible. Terrible. So did Roger draw out the floor plan for the house that y'all are going to build, or are you going to draw it out?
I kind of have an idea.
Oh.
So,
Big
been thinking about it for a
doors.
while. Well, I mean, not all the little that kind of stuff, just kind of basic in my brain. So,
Yeah.
kind of go from there. Like,
is Mark on call? Dina says.
I know, right?
You know what? Right, watch this. Mark, I'm going to send you a link. Get in my chat.
Yeah. Text him, see if he'll come in. Hey, we can have him in there with Christine, because I'm sure, she'd love talking to Mark.
I'm going to text him. Mark, are you busy? I swear, if he does and he drops it and he comes in, we're definitely going to have to get him something for Christmas, okay? Or his birthday, at least. Something.
You know what I was thinking? I was like, what if something happens? And, I should never think those things, because then they do. But what if Christine can't get in and we're like, and then I thought, what do we talk about? And I'm like, I could talk about how, because, we were talking about yesterday how Tommy and how Amanda both talked about being targeted.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
so, when your whole life you just feel like, somebody's following you around, and, you know what I mean? And then they're messing with you and stuff like that. And I said, shit, my life has been nothing but freaking like murderers and assassins trying to kill me. Every time I turn around, they're trying to shoot me. They're trying to like kill me. And I'm like, I had serial killers. I said, so if anybody feels targeted, I feel like the big target, I mean, seriously.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Well, last night.
I've had so many guns pointed at me, and
Mark,
and then
listen,
they
Mark,
miss, and they shoot at me, or they try to kill me, and and I get away, and then God rescues me from Otis. I mean, Henry Lucas and Tool, and and it's just like that's why I was saying yesterday was about the demonic behind all this, because when we think about Penny, or I mean, when we think about, did I just say when we think about Penny? Okay, when we think about people who are targeting us, okay, and we think that we're in everybody's mind, we're like, hey, is this person connected to this person connected to this person? Sometimes yes, but I think that sometimes it's a spiritual thing too. I think sometimes there's a particular demon who wants to take you out, and so that demon jumps into this person. And if that person doesn't get you, then that demon jumps into the next person, and then the next person. So we have all these targeted individuals who are they're all saying the same thing, Brenda. They're all saying, right. Why is this person? Why did I marry this person?
Yep.
Why did this person come into my life? Why is this my parent or my relative? And why does this person at work seem to be after me? And there's sometimes there is a connection, like in the physical realm, but sometimes I believe it's a spiritual connection. So I think, like whenever I researched Henry Lucas, and he was one of the people that tried to kill me. He ended up, he became a Christian while he was in prison, and he said God told him to tell the truth about everything he did. So immediately, what did the police do? The bad police, not the good police. The bad police told him to say that he didn't kill all these people, and that he didn't kill anybody, because the bad police were part of the satanic agenda. Remember, we were talking about Michael Aquino admitting that he got off of his charges because the judge and all them were Satanists, so that they dropped all his charges. So what Lucas was saying was that there's a whole organization of satanic people that are all working together. They're judges, they're in the White House. He even said that. Lucas said that they were in the White House. They were in military, and they all get on the phone and call each other. Hey, I need this person taken care of. Hey, I need that person taken care of. And when we interviewed James Files, who killed JF Kennedy, he was working for the CIA because, well, he was MK Ultra in a laboratory, and then he was taught to assassinate people. But he said, the CIA, his handler would call him every day. He'd have to report to him, and then if he had a job, they'd come get him on a helicopter, take him to take care of somebody. And I asked him about this situation in Big Sandy, Texas, and what was that all about? And he said that he was called to go to Big Sandy, Texas, to take care of somebody back in the 60s for Ann Richards, who was running for governor of Texas. She wanted to take somebody out, so he took care of it. And so there's like a club, Brenda. This is like this club of Satanists who have these phone numbers, right? And they have these connections, and they call so and so, and then so and so calls and so goes and for the right amount of money, you know, and
Right.
so
That's what it is. It's a
there's
money game. It's a
huh?
money game and a power grab, and it's a club, and they don't like us, and we're not. Like I said, George Carlin had it pegged. It's a big club, and we ain't in it. Oh, 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 oh! Look, 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 look! Hi,
Hey,
Mark.
Mark!
Hey, how you doing, Bree? Hey,
Mark
Suze.
to the rescue!
Well, he can't stay long because he said his wife's going to kill him, and we can't have that.
Oh my
No,
God, no, we can't have that.
I
Can't
wanna
have
be
that.
living. I have too many other problems that I don't need her on me.
Yeah, got to keep the wife happy, Mark.
You don't need to be living under the porch.
I'm getting her in. I said, you know what? Let me come on in a minute, and I'll tell you all the things I've been doing today. We had a funny day. My wife and I, we go around, and we now do it as our pastime. We go around and we do historical digs around New Jersey and around New York, and we go and we look for either historical content or esoteric historical content. And so today we went to Shrewsbury, which is Shrewsbury, New Jersey, which is basically where William Morris was the power center for East New Jersey, which was pre um, Independence War. um, what what the power structure was in the United States really lied here in Philadelphia, in uh, the capital of New Jersey was right over here, which is Perth Amboy, and then you had um, Manhattan, right, where the Dutch sort of ruled.
Right.
and so and so you had all of these different groups of people coming and um, being encouraged to come over here to sort of take the land for their team of people over in Europe. And so once they got here, what they what they all thought that they were fighting in common was that they were fighting for their freedom and freedom of religion.
Right.
But that's not true. They were each fighting for the freedom of their own religion to dominate the other religions, is what was actually going on. So, what's funny is when you go to Shrewsbury and there's a famous, and let me pull it up on my phone. Is this working? Tell me that it's not shutting down when I go like this. Just speak to me so I could hear it. Um, can you hear me?
I can hear you,
We
just
can
have
hear
a
you.
black
A
screen.
black screen.
Okay, perfect. So stay like that for 1 second because I want to tell you what the name of it is. And I uploaded a bunch of stuff to. So we found. What is the name of it? So it's called the Allen House in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. And what it leads to is it led me on my journey to find out that in actuality all of our founding fathers were enlightened, they were illuminated, and what we really think of them being as our heroes, they were really sort of, in
Not.
essence, plants by the various royal families around Europe in order to gain control of what was going on around here. Now, so yeah, of course they wanted what was best for their people, not necessarily what we would consider it. Everything that we touted about them was all the good things. Remember this, the winner wins, right? He gets to tell his story. So when I look back on this stuff, what I'm
I would
realizing
say,
is,
Mark, it's really the losers sometimes that tell the story. I mean, loser by low vibration loser.
yes. So here's what's funny is I'll tell you the story about the Allen House afterwards, but this is one of the most historic places for the Revolutionary War in America, and it's because it was um, the skirmishes that were happening during the period of the formation of our nation after 1776. It took really 20 years for us to form a government after declaring our independence, right? And so what was actually happening was, and it's proven by this Allen House, because the Allen House was a pub where they were all gathering, the rebels, and gathering and having conversations about what was going on, right? And what they were going to do, and funding the Tea Party and stuff from there, right?
Right.
So so what's unusual about this was this guy William Morris owned all this land, and he was a Puritan. But William Penn, the Quaker, so there were Puritans, Quakers, and there were a bunch of other things here, but those were the predominant religions. And then there were the Ang- and Anglicans. Is that what they're called? Is that how you say it? The
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep. And so this church across the street diagonally from it is now uh, a Presbyterian church, but it has its roots all the way back to um, uh, 1706. And so what's amazing is before 1706, they were having, for about 5 years before, they were actually having church on his property in Tinton Falls. And my show yesterday was about synchronicity. Believe it or not, my home was his property. So
Huh.
I don't live there anymore, but I owned a home right behind the grist mill at Tinton Falls, and that is the very property where his house was. There was a farm there, and apparently they that's where the church was being held in his house before they built that church. So now all of these famous people and the famous families of the area that were from that church are all buried around there. There's about 1,500, and there's a whole bunch of enlightened people, and you could see like the progression through the ages, and that's why I go and I do this, and I look and I go to these morbid places. So, funny enough, is directly across the street, so not diagonal, but directly across the street from the Allen House, and this is like the main part of town, is is a Quaker church, very small, and then all just really old headstones, all from the 16s and 1700s. And that one is really sort of like meager. The Quakers were really sort of.
My mom went to a Quaker college,
Oh, did she?
Monroe College, yeah, in Ohio.
So what they actually show in this cemetery is that the Quakers opened up to the women and allowed them to live on equal standing as men, as especially as far as like religion went. Like the other religions, the Anglicans thought that men stood at a higher level with God, with Jesus, right? Whereas the Quakers seem to have
Well, that's the way
been.
you can dominate other, you can control if you're more superior to something.
Yes. And then so the funny thing is all the headstones over there are ornate, and on the Quaker side it's just a simple headstone. All of them were basically the same. There was only one that was illuminated there, and none had Freemasonic markings, whereas on the other one there was. You know, and so what's interesting about all that is that they were all living among each other, warring behind each other's back, setting each other up, going in and killing one another behind the scenes. They were literally jumping. So the loyalists lived in Staten Island, and they were taking boats, jumping across the river, coming over, capturing people and killing them. And so there were these skirmishes back and forth. And what wound up actually happening was George Washington negotiated a deal, but the deal was broken many a times over between the two sides. And George Washington knew this, and he essentially had to quell his own rebels, allow them to be quelled in order for peace to come. The real rebels who were here in this neighborhood, who were the same rebels who did the Tea Party in Boston, because the funding came from here. A guy by the name of, one of them, one of the many, was Huddy, Joshua Huddy, and that leads to my whole story that goes around. The initial movement was at this, what did I call it, the Adams House, or not Adams House, the Allen House,
Alan, yeah.
where when you look in the cemetery, there's probably about 50 people there last name of Allen. And so it was seemingly very feudalistic, and who was really controlling what was going on were the kings and queens of Spain, France, and England, and the Dutch, and the the House of Orange was the winner, which is the British and the Dutch. They seemingly, even though they say that the British lost the war, they did not. They negotiated an end and took the controlling interests. So today, two things happened. We went around there and we figured that out. But secondly, as I went out and I went into a historic town here, they were having yard sales, and I found a bunch of lithographs. So if you go on to my Truth Social, which is the chosen one, you'll see a bunch of posts from me today. It's incredible what I found. I
Huh.
mean, we are two things, all with King James and the connection back to here. And then secondly is, who was involved in that. Because this book is from 1900, where they made these lithographs. So pretty amazing. And then also about Herxis, which is, he had two other names in history, but apparently this is the Wandering Jew. And I took a I had no idea who this king was, and I went and I looked it up, and it leads back to Xerxes, who was the Wandering Jew. Who, guess where this is leading back to?
Huh.
Donald Trump.
Al,
So,
Really?
that
so
doesn't surprise me.
And how so?
um, the there's something to do with the lion and Greek mythology, where Xerxes defeated and ruled for 300 years after exposing um, uh, uh, he defeated two uprisings. That I'm not fully deep into the whole dig yet, because it just happened today and I was out and about all day. But go ahead and look at my Truth Social, anybody who's listening to your show, and you'll see all these lithographs. I took a bunch of pictures of them, and it has something to do with the gypsies. And so this goes back to an old dig of mine on the Romani, the Roma, which, if you know what that is a group of people in Europe who are the gypsies, who it's like they're black people, and they've pushed them around Europe for years and years. And it looks to me like these are the original Scythians who may be the original bloodlines um, who went to Scotland, went to Ireland, and then those bloodlines worked their way back, and that's why you have the red-headed, blue-eyed people in Asia. You know what I mean? Like you have the Persians who were red-haired and blue-eyed.
Right.
Why? How did that come?
Yep. Well, it was mixed somewhere down the line.
Right? And so I'm on the thinking that most of these people are that original AB negative bloodline of, what is, of, and remember, you're talking about of James' bloodline, not of Jesus, right? But it's the same bloodline. Jesus did not have children.
He
So
might, according to my research, I believe he did, Mark.
I I don't I don't see the proof of it. I've seen stuff. I don't see the proof of it, but I'd love to see it. But
Yeah,
so
I'll have to send you some stuff. I'll send you some research that I've done. What I understand is he was married to Mary Magdalene. They had, as far as I know, they had a daughter named Sarah and a son named Justin. Um, and when, according to the Quran and everywhere else, that they'd never crucified Christ. And that's in the book of Barnabas as well. There's many gospels, older gospels. I think the Catholic Church has lied
yeah,
about the crucifixion.
but what you have to
And I'm just,
remember is these are all Gnostic. All of them, everyone.
well,
They were
you know what
all.
though? The Quran is not Gnostic, Mark. Okay, the Quran says that Jesus never was crucified. There was another that was made to look like him. And so that's what they're saying is Judas Iscariot was put on the cross as his karma for trying to kill Christ. Christ never died. He's still alive. He's been alive this whole time. He's going to appear. He's never died. And that's the whole cover up, that he's not dead and that he didn't die. He wasn't a blood sacrifice that the Jews made for, that's what they're saying. Um, he did not, that the Father did not kill Jesus. Okay. That's what they're saying. I'm just saying. And that he was married, had children. He was as human as we are. He was the first human. Yes, he was the first. He was the son of, God, but there were many gods in the Old Testament. But I'm just saying, I think religion is completely been screwed up. And I think that everybody has the mindset of the Roman Catholic Church and what they teach.
I think you ought to go look at some of those lithographs, because I think we're about to find something that might be pretty surprising and amazing, because I have a feeling, like, I was feeling that the King James Bible was shown to me because of the deception itself. But all of a sudden, I'm starting not to know who's good and who's bad. Meaning,
Right.
like, I was thinking for a long time now that just everyone is bad, and and we have to remember that there's two sides of this here. There is uh, Jachin and Boaz, and then there's the narrow. You know what I mean? And so there's so many deceptions going on here that, like, I'm with you that there's more books that tell the story than the
Yes.
Bible, but the
Yes.
Bible is the
But I think most of the Christians, and according to the Quran, and most of the, and I'm not a follower of the Quran, I'm not a follower of anything particular, like only or whatever, but I do read a lot of stuff and I research a lot of stuff. And then I compare and I go back and this is where I get my, confirmation. And I pray a lot, Mark. I pray for the truth. And so I do believe that Jesus had children. I do believe they went to France. Um, I do believe that is the Holy Grail bloodline that was spoken about, is the blood of the. There's reference in the New Testament also about Sabaoth the good, and it talks about Sabaoth. And if you read the Gnostics, it talks about Sabaoth being the son of Yaltabaoth, who became good. And it says in the New Testament that if it was not for Sabaoth the good, we'd all be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. And that it was his seed. So, and that's in the New Testament of the King James Bible, which is really bizarre. I think that they would even put that in there because
well,
I believe that the Roman Catholic Church is hiding everything from the normal people. And I think that most people
yeah,
have been
I
taught a Roman Catholic religion. And they either they were taught it or they were forced it. If you didn't comply with these people, they cut your head off, or tortured you if you didn't become Catholic. And these people went across
no, no,
lands and
but
countries and kill
but
people.
but remember how that came, though, right? Here's what's happening at the time is that you have the you have the Caesar who is pushing his legion to take new lands over, take things from people, right? And here's the reasoning is because when you have a legion, you need to supply. Like, think about what's going on today. All these people like Fauci, if we're not paying him a ton of money to lie to everyone, he's he's giving it up. He's gonna, if he's not being paid off, so you got to pay everybody off. So what's happening was Caesar was having to pay off his legions for going and taking new lands. So they had to keep on going and taking new lands and giving lands to these people and making, their his generals, making them, dukes and all this stuff, right? But eventually it all runs out and you lose it all. So here's what's happened. What happened was that they figured out that the way to beat the system for good and not get overthrown is to make the public think that they're in control. So you tell them freedom. You are a free man and you are in control of your own destiny, and congratulations, right? But in actuality, what's going on is he's telling you you have your vote and all your votes coming together are the thing that's making the decision. But the king is still the king and he's going to kill anybody who dissents. And so they have perfected the model of having of being a ruler, is that now not only are you the ruler that can, just dominate everyone, but you can hide the fact that you are the ruler and you're dominating and killing people. And that means that they're never going to come and take you out because it's not you who's doing it, it's the system. You get to blame it on the system, you know?
So,
Yeah, so they figured out. So my and then I'm gonna let it go back to you. Is I would just be wary that all of these other texts are all from Gnostic people who are putting out supporting information of historical information that actually supports the Bible, right? And so when I look at all that stuff, I'm saying, wow, it's really supporting the Bible. Now, there's some other things in lots of it where there's lots of mystical things going on. So when you think about how writers write, I I I I was with you completely where I was dismissing that, maybe the Bible isn't telling the whole story because the people who compiled it together were under the work auspices of a king who was, who wrote demonology, right? And
Well, it's not that. It's okay. Okay, so there are all that we have right now is 66 books. In those 66 books, he hired a lot of translators to translate and to give us that what we have right now. A lot of that is pretty accurate to some of the older books, okay? But some of that he added some things that because King James, you know the story of King Henry the Second and Thomas Becket in the murder in with Thomas Becket. If you know that story, it was a that whole scenario between the king and the priest, who has more authority. Does the priest have more authority with God, or does the king have more authority because he's the king? So, in that scenario, Thomas Becket was killed by the knights of, that worked for Henry II, which was one of my great grandfathers. Henry II was one of my great grandfathers, but he was an asshole. Okay. His arrogance, he wanted to kill Thomas Becket, who was the priest for the church. Okay, and they murdered him in Canterbury in the church, right? They killed Becket. Now, of course, the Knights Templars or whatever had to flee out of there, and they went to France, and then they went to Ireland, and so they changed their name. And one of those guys was one of my grandfathers was Fitzharse, who became the Barhams, where they had to change their name because they were murderers, assassins for the king. That whole argument between the king and the priest, who has more authority? Because Becket would forgive people of their sins and they wouldn't go to jail. The king got pissed off. So by the time you have all these Norse kings and Saxon kings, they get down to where you get down to King James, okay, who was the sixth king of Scotland and the first James of England. So he had England and Scotland. And, of course, he was Catholic, but then he switched over because he wanted to divorce and he became Protestant. So he started murdering all these Catholics. So he, as king, decided that he would add some laws into the Bible where the king had more authority than the priests of God. Okay. And so this is what happens when people start rewriting these books, Mark, and and who they are and why, and you have to learn what they added in, why they added it in,
and
and
and listen, I'm not defending him in what I'm about to say to you, but remember what was going on with the priests and the Pope, what was going on with Pope Pius, and you know the control that was trying to be forced down the throats of the people of Britain, right? And various elements at play, they were like the only ones resisting because they had the water between them and some power themselves, right? Some warring ability. But the fact of the matter is what if neither of them were really good, right? But at
right.
the time, King James was the lesser of all evils. Meanwhile, I think he only held the throne for 3 years, right?
You know what? He was, his right hand guy, Mark, his name was Satan. I kid you not. The guy that would go out and assassinate all these poor Catholic people, his name was Satan, who worked for King James. That's
Get out
not
of
that's not
here.
even you can't even make this shit up, Mark.
That's
Literally.
it's almost funny that it almost
Yeah.
is.
Mark,
So the more you dig into this and you end up back in Turkey and you end up with that story and you end up with that whole Constantinople and Istanbul story, and you end up with the Mongoloids and Genghis Khan
Yep.
and what they were doing. And
And Vlad
I
the
mean,
Impaler going and getting educated up there, and back to the story
and
that we.
why he did
It's
what
all
he did.
connected. It's
You
all
know,
connected. All of it.
all that was for family. What are we all fighting for? We're all fighting for our family, to protect our children. That's what good people do, Mark. That's
Can,
what good people do. Good
can I tell you
people.
something else that's crazy as an observation from today? There were maybe 10 predominant surname families in the 500 or so graves I looked at. It was predominantly maybe 10 surname families. So imagine that. I mean, we are literally all related to one another. All of us. You
Yep.
know?
Yeah,
You just
and it's
you
just
just have to go back 7, right? You just have to go
And
back
in
7
right.
generations.
and in simple terms, I really believe that because, like, my dad was a hoe. They had to spread their seeds everywhere. I really believe that it's, Trump probably spread his seeds everywhere. Uh, it's
My
like a
tenth my
family
tenth
thing.
grandfather was a Kennedy, by the way. So okay.
Yeah, they just spread their seed everywhere.
Guess what I found out this morning about Kennedy?
But which
He
one? Wait, let's talk about which one.
John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
He was a lifelong homosexual.
Oh,
He he was a
well, that's a new
bisexual.
one.
He was a
Okay.
bisexual, but I'll tell you the name if you guys will let my view go away. I'll go back into the databases.
He must have inherited a lot of King
Oh,
James's traits or
uh,
something.
I remember the name. I remember right. I remember the name, and you know why? Because I worked for a company that had the name in it, and it's from Washington D.C., so it's probably the same family, and the last name is Billings. So John F. Kennedy went to a boys' school in Connecticut, or not a boys' school, but a boarding school in Connecticut that had a bunch of, it's all actors and actresses who went there, and there was this guy who he was his buddy at school, big 6 foot, 4 guy who was his best friend. Well, his best friend stayed with him throughout his life. It was a gay man, and he had his own room in the White House. I mean, what more do I need to tell you anymore?
And that
You,
sounds like James Stewart, who wrote the Bible. And his last name was Stewart, but he
yeah,
came from the Robert de Bruce bloodline. But in the king, uh, the way they did things was the Stewarts had to marry a Stewart, and then carry the line in the kings. So it's a pretty messed up genealogy. And so nothing surprises me when you hear these things now, because it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, now that makes sense.
So Julianne Guthrie is asking if I can help get hidden historic documents extracted from historic landmarks.
Right.
That's exactly what I've been doing. So somebody else, I think it was Kyle up top, mentioned that at Trinity Church in Manhattan is Alexander Hamilton is buried, and yes, I actually went there as well back in December. I took a buddy from Texas into the city, and we went there, and I showed him that because there's something significant with that, and it is a very unusual gravestone. It is it's a pyramid. It's not even
Yep.
an obelisk. It's a pyramid,
Wow.
and um, directly in front of him is what I believe is uh, one of the descendants from Captain Cook,
Oh.
um, who was the person who I had told you guys about, who did the exploration of the South Sea which we call it the South Seas, but they called it the South Sea back in the day because it's one sea. and they knew it as one sea, and we call it the South Seas now. Anyway, so Captain Cook, who I told you that they were looking for the seventh planetary alignment, but it was hidden. There's someone named Cook directly in front of Alexander Hamilton in that. So, yes, Julie, I have been what I call triangulating. So what I'll do is I use Find a Grave. And this all started actually because of 666 Fifth Avenue,
Yeah.
which I was on the dig of 666 Fifth Avenue, and the original owner of that property is Vanderbilt, Cornelius Vanderbilt. And it led me to where Cornelius Vanderbilt is buried. And what I found was all of the top people from the mob and or politicians and the elite from New York are all buried in this same cemetery. And so what that led to was a bunch of different digs, which led to my finding of Huddy, where it proved that George Washington sold out the rebels for peace. They were all killed. They were all killed in the years after the settlement of, the declaration of our independence, and then the settlement with the king and with the loyalists. You know, this is what's occurred in our nation. And the reason why I love talking about this is because we have to be really cognizant that this doesn't happen to us again today. And that is that we fall asleep at the wheel thinking that Trump has saved us and not realizing that every win is a negotiation with losers. You get what I'm saying? Is that you're not going to go ahead and you're not going to kill your opposition. Most of them are going to wind up living through it, and you're going to have to live with them, right? So the extremists who speak out strongest for you, they almost have to be expendable.
I don't know if you can see that, Mark. That's my fifth grandmother, Hamilton.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Were you from Florida?
Well, the Hamiltons were married to the Byrds, and that was the Kennedy bloodline they were from my mom's side. They're Welsh Irish, and they go back, but that's yeah. But I did trace my bloodline too. I am actually in my lineage related to the Virgin Mary. She is on my genealogy as well. Yeah.
But Florida, is it there on that lineage line? Because
it says that she's from Bath County, Virginia. The Hamilton.
So Alexander Hamilton was recruited as a youth he was not among, the extremely wealthy. He was in Florida. He was recruited to go to school at what is now Columbia University, and he wound up becoming a pamphleteer for what's his name, the French guy, the British guy from France. Oh boy,
not Bonaparte.
No, he wrote Common Sense. He wrote the book Common Sense. So anyway, he became a pamphleteer, and he was gay. He was
it's funny you say that, Mark. You were emphasizing the gay thing, right? Because King James and
yes.
Kennedy, and And I mentioned in the Bible, it talked about Sabaoth, the good, not being homosexual. The seed of him, he said that if it was not for him, we'd all be like Sodom and Gomorrah. We'd all be like gay or something. So there's this bloodline, I guess, that maybe cleans out the gay bloodline or the gay gene. I don't know. You know
No,
what I'm
not
saying?
I wasn't saying Thomas Paine was gay. I was saying Alexander Hamilton was gay.
Okay. So apparently a lot of them were gay. I mean, a lot of
And
them.
they
And it,
still are. I mean, we've got some of them that dress as women when they're really men, and it's because the men are into the men.
Well, and they all wore wigs. They were called wigs before they were Republicans. They were wigs. And if you go and read about Robert the Bruce, that goes
yeah.
back to the same thing over in England with the wigs. We've got to get a lot more intelligent about our understanding of history, people, because I don't even know enough about what I'm saying to you right here. But I can tell you when you have a bunch of young men dressing up as old men in white wigs and going around and having private parties where they can't tell people what went on in it, and
I think,
unless you
Mark, you
do
know
the
what I really
secret
think it
handshake.
is? You know how you talk about we go back to the Bible and we talk about Cain and Abel and Eve saying that the Lord God had given her these kids. And so the bloodline of, Cain murders Abel, and they're supposedly, they're both of, I'm going to say Loki bloodline. Loki is because the only bloodline of Adam and Eve is Seth, right? So that's
Yep.
the pure bloodline. So you have the Canaanites, or the bloodline of the Cains, and so through that bloodline, I say that's a Loki bloodline. That's where you get the gay thing, and it intermarries amongst all the other blood. It intermixes and marries, right? And then it tries to breed itself. I think this is what the biblical narrative was. You marry your daughter, you marry your cousin, it's like a Mormon thing, it's like a Christian thing, it's like a biblical thing. Abraham marries his sister Sarah, and so you have this, because I think they're trying to keep that Loki bloodline strong, the Canaanite bloodline strong, right? So that gay thing, it dominates the bloodline. So they try to mix the bloodline to contaminate it. That's what I'm thinking, that there's a good bloodline and a bad bloodline. And
There's
it doesn't, and it's been intermingling for generation after generation, Mark.
and we there is a specific people here who are not like us. Not only in intermixing, but there is a people here that are just strictly not like us. Not are they only witches, but they're bloodline witches. And Um, you know what? Let me just say, Julie also, I see she said in here she's been getting attacked by witches for years. And I would just say, Julie, is no dominion, absolutely none, no fear, no nothing. Call them out where they are, strike them out of your lives, and they will run in fear, invoke Jesus's name to them, and they
Yeah.
absolutely run. So I was getting attacked. I am not getting attacked in any way. They want nothing to do with me. And so, Julie, I would say, looking at your post, I would say, call them out right then and there. Invoke Jesus' name. Sorry, Susie. I just had to say that when I saw her say
No,
that.
that you don't be sorry for that. I agree. I agree. You have to call on the name of Jesus and ask for help. I mean, never be never be shy of asking God for help, and ask the Father, ask Jesus, help, 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 you know, because I don't think we can make it without him. I mean, he's, I mean, I know I couldn't. So, I'm here because of him. I'd have been taken out many times, if it wasn't for him intervening in my life. So, No, we need that. We need that help. You know, we can't do this alone. And what I was going to throw out there was, I don't know if you've researched anything on the Campbell bloodline, um, but I see the Campbell bloodline intermixing a lot into the King's line, and I think of Campbell soup. You know, it's kind of like a
Yep.
mixing. And
So
because the reason I bring that up is Michael Aquino wears a Scottish. He's passed away now. Okay, he was murdered in Australia, but he would wear a Scottish skirt and all that, and he claimed that he was of the Campbell. I call him Satan because that's what, you know, he was. He was Satan in the flesh, but he would wear. He claimed he was of the Campbell bloodline. Okay, which is connected to all the kings and all that. So, you know, I don't know if
I'm
you've done anything on that bloodline, but I think the Campbells
so
have
I'm gonna
intermixed with all the other
share.
bloodlines.
I'm gonna share with you when we get off the last in the last 3 weeks the research I've done. I'm gonna send you a bunch of pictures of families of gravestones with that last name on it in this area.
You see what Denise just said?
What
Which one?
they're changing the name of Campbell Soup after all these years? Or no?
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's funny.
What? Well, look what they did to Aunt Jemima.
Oh wait, but answer Rebecca's question, which was, I want to know, Susie Q, how the name of Jesus can help if he was just a man.
Okay, according to what I've researched and studied, okay, and this goes back to not the gods, or say the biblical explanation of who a God is. The God that I believe in is a God who is righteous and loving and would never harm his son or anybody's son or anybody, but it would always do the right thing, would always be a loving father. And I see the father as the most wonderful, loving parent you could ever want. And so, according to my belief, is Jesus was the first human that came from the Father. And so, being the very first human coming from the Father, he is much like the Father. He thinks like the Father. He respects the Father. He acts in the name of the Father. And so he was the first man, the first human. So that's why they call him the Son of God or the Son of Man, because he becomes human. In the human, he comes into the human race, but he is like the representation of God on earth, because God is a spirit. Nobody has ever seen him, nor will ever see him, because you cannot see a spirit in the sense of understanding a spirit. You can't measure it and you can't see it. Okay, it just is. And so he manifested Christ or Jesus. And he has, I believe, all the spiritual gifts, because he's so much like the Father. And so he can break through times and barriers and dimensions and generations, and he can outthink and outsmart anybody, because he is the ultimate human, basically. So, he's just like the Father in that sense, which is, if you could understand how magnificent and so wonderful and powerful the Father is, and you would think of Jesus as having all those abilities and talents and on all that, then you would understand why he helps when you call on his name. He can he can change your life. I mean, he'd be like your best friend or the most wonderful friend or the most, I mean, I can't say enough good things about the Father and Jesus. I just can't. There's just not enough good words in any language to describe how wonderful they are. You know.
And I would just say is, before I spoke the word, right? Um, I think my ego was just too big to allow the name of another man to to be my leader. I've always been sort of an independent thinking mind. I was what I called a transcendentalist for most of my life, even though I was born Jewish. And
And I don't think, Mark, that he looks at himself as a leader. He always he I think he looks to the Father as the leader, and he follows the Father, and so we go to him because he's human like us, and we can relate to that. So
and
he's more, if that makes sense.
and because the deal is, no one comes to the Father but through him. And that is the deal now, because that is the deal, that it's as simple as that, as opposed to what it was under my birth religion, which is I have to sacrifice calves, and I
And
have
you know
to,
what, Mark? When you
you know,
said that, when you said nobody comes to the Father but through Christ, because you know why? Because Christ is a representation of everything that the Father is in a physical flesh. I mean, so if you want to understand the Father, you have to understand Jesus.
We've done this before. I just had a deja vu with you guys talking, saying the same. God, I hate when that happens. Get out of my
you know,
timeline.
You
Go
know,
jump your
it's
own.
it's probably a good time for me to stop and go off to my wife, because you know, for me it's always a good point to end on, bringing people into that direction, because I mean, it's a really hard thing to make that commitment to it when you've been living your whole life in a way where you haven't been trusting in something that is, it's not physical, so you can't really
right,
you can't really know until you know,
right,
so
right.
you just gotta dive into them waters. So let me leave on that note.
Yep.
you know
Thank you,
I
Hart.
appreciate that, Mark. And you know what? Anybody that's listening, I would invite anybody to just reach out and talk to Jesus and ask him to reveal himself and to show them who he is, and they're not going to regret it. That's all I got to say. They're not going to regret it.
Yep. And just keep advancing it, because probably a lot of your less listeners and my listeners are all on the journey to some extent. But, I find, like, in the beginning for me, I mean, I was on fire. I was on freaking fire for the Lord. You know what I mean? Now it's more like the digs are just flowing, 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 and I have to keep on reminding myself why they're flowing. You know?
Yep.
Just keep on making sure, and it's why, like, my guest last night, he wasn't somebody who, like, I really feel like he has a good spirit to him, and he's feeling a lot of these things, and he's really experiencing these things. But you know um, my one contest to anything that he had was that he doesn't like to go to the Bible for his affirmation. And I would just say, I don't know, don't be as scared of King James as you think. And if you're scared of King James, go to the Geneva, which is the one I like better anyway. And just, it's
I agree, Mark.
amazing.
Study. You got to study. You got to read these things. You got to study these things if you want to understand what's really going on.
Yep. Bell
Yep.
and the Dragon. Read that one. Start there, because it's amazing. It tells us what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, Have you read Bell and the Dragon, the two of you?
I've read that. That's one of the yeah. And what about the Book of Tobit? Have you read the Book of Tobit?
Yep.
That is a trippy about the demon, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest
You
of your day.
too.
Thank you. Tell your
Thank
wife
you,
thank you
Mark.
for letting you
Tell
come
your
in
wife
for a
thank
few.
you for sharing your time with us.
Sharing
Thanks for
you.
having me on. See you guys on the next one.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
You
Mark.
have a great day.
That was kind of fun. I like when we
Oh, we love
Mark
Mark.
in here.
Yeah.
Rebecca says, say the name of the book again that Mark was talking about. Well, he was talking about the
Bell
tower.
and the Dragon.
Yeah, Bell and the Dragon.
Bell, Bel, and the
Mhm.
Dragon. Bell
Bell.
and the Dragon. Yeah.
I'll have to remember that because I've been collecting these books because I've been trying to cross-reference them, and it's been pretty. It's been pretty neat. And I can't really read because I can't really see. I don't even know why I got my glasses on, y'all. I'm blind as a bat. But I went and bought a magnifying glass that has a light on it, so I can just get in there and read, and it expands everything so big that even I think somebody that walks around with a seeing eye dog can read with this magnifying glass.
Hey, everybody needs a magnifying glass. I've got a few of them. It helps.
Right? I like this one that I got. I keep it up here on my computer desk in my basket, and I have it on a thing just in case I need to hang it around my neck, but
And you know what, Brenda? It seems like they're making the print smaller and smaller, and they're messing
yeah.
with our heads. Like,
Oh,
here,
this
try to read
Geneva
that,
Bible.
sucker.
Well, the Geneva Bible that I mean, not the Geneva Bible, the Ethiopian Bible that I just got is like
Right?
550 pages. But what they did is they made the lettering so small so they could add it all in there.
That's why you
Because
got to ask for
it's
large
88
print.
books. It's
Like,
no.
have you started
So
reading it a little bit, Brenda?
yes, I have.
Anything interesting that you've come across?
Not yet. I'm starting at the beginning.
Okay.
So I'm going to go into it, and then I still have my book of Enoch over here that I've got some reading done in that. But I
That's
think I want
good.
to try to find stuff that has the Talbot in it because I've heard
Tobit.
the
Yeah.
Talbot. I've heard some stuff about that. So
You can go, you know what? You can PDF it on Google and you can read it there, or you can actually do audio stuff on YouTube. Sometimes you can find.
now
Um,
audio would be really good for me because I could sit and
yeah.
listen to it. I figured out that with this magnifying glass to try to read it on the computer, it like blasts my eyes with I don't even know what. But I'm getting Norma. I am getting those the blue glasses that take away the blue
Ah.
whatever the heck it is on the computer screen because I spend a lot of time on this, whether I'm doing shows, looking for guests, scheduling them, talking to people about coming on. I'm on this computer a lot, more so than my phone because my phone can't really. It's old. I need to get a new phone. I think eventually, I'll break down and do it. Do you know that it took me 4 years to get a flip phone out of Jack's hands and get him into an Android? He was like, I don't need anything. I can make phone calls, I can receive phone calls, and I can get texts on this phone. That's all I need. I'm like, oh boy.
I think that's I was thinking about the problem that we have. We're reading all these different books and we're trying to go back to other documents, and it all goes back to the babble, and
Yeah.
and how everybody is babbling different things in the Tower of Babel, and how everybody got confused, and you know um and so here here we're all trying to research and we're all trying to learn this stuff.
And
But
look for the truth.
yeah, and
Everybody's
but we've been like put under this curse or of being of not of misunderstanding each other, and we got different languages, and then even if we have the same language and we go to the same church, we're still babbling with each other, you know, and that's why they call it the Holy Babel or the Holy Bible, you know,
yeah,
because you know you can pick up that book and you know you next thing you know you're beating each other with the Bible because you're disagreeing, or because there is some contradictions within the Bible themselves, which would really become confusing, like Old Testament, New Testament, and this is why you know we live in a world of confusion, and these words have been spelled to spell us and to make us confused. So no matter how much research and no matter what we read or what we look into, we really got to have a faith in a good God.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, we got to say, just got to lay it all down and say, look, that was really confusing. I really don't understand it, but I just know that my peace is in you, God. You know, and so because I think that it does say that one day we won't need any books, we won't need anything like that, because all we'll need is just God in our heart. He'll put it in our heart, and we'll just, you know, we're going to be okay. So, you know, it can get overwhelming, Brenda. It can get confusing, you know, trying to find the truth, right? Like, and waiting for the government to give us disclosure. It gets, you know, waiting for med beds, waiting and waiting. We're all waiting. We're all looking, right? It's just, it's never ending, right, Brenda?
yeah.
It's just, it gets frustrating sometimes because, you know, I think we just snap our fingers and the world just we walk into a good dimension and a good timeline and everybody's, you know, like, can we all just
I
have a
hope
good day?
I
You
hope I'm
know,
still walking in another timeline. If not, I ain't walking anywhere.
I know. I was thinking about your little deja vu you were having, you know, and I'm
I
like,
was, uh, all the time. I lately, all month long, at least, no matter what I'm doing in the house, if I go to the store, if I'm on the computer, I have a deja vu at least 9 times in a month. So,
what?
yes. So
That's a lot of memory.
I asked somebody about that, and you know what they told me? That that means that our timelines are trying to switch, and you're trying to, impact with the other timeline. And I'm like, well, all I can say is this timeline that we're on right now is screwed up. Somebody fell, hit their head, and they just came up with the worst timeline they could ever come up with. And the good timeline needs to come in. Because I'm really sick of this one. And like I said, it's even like with what's going on with the shows. I've been sitting here watching this, and I have a counter on top, and it says upload process, and it always is going. Okay. It's not going. It says 0%. I've not seen it move once. So I'm hoping
I
that
see
I'll
live and it's saying
download
1
this.
hour and
Yeah, oh
24.
yeah.
I see a countdown. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, and I've got the live up on my phone. I'm watching it.
okay.
So I don't understand. And I message you too.
It's been messing with you lately. Everything
This
in the
weekend. This weekend
yep.
has been so bad.
It's been weird. I know.
It has. And me being up
But
as
at
long
least you're not in the hospital. You're
yeah,
not
yeah.
getting spiritually attacked on that. You know, it's now that little demon is jumping in all your electronics, you know.
I know, just
So,
to drive me cuckoo, I'm telling you. I
yeah.
have been up all
The
night.
little gremlin, get out of here.
Yes, to fix this show. I apparently, it wasn't just Rumble I was having a problem with. YouTube kept telling me that my API is not responding. Try again. So, but every time I deleted it and went out and reloaded it, had to put all the information and everything all over again, it kept putting them up. Like I had like 6 shows going. I'm like, what is that?
That's
Oh,
crazy.
oh, it is. It is. I was talking to Tommy on the phone while I was doing this, and I'm sitting over here going, "Ooh, I'm just going to yank my hair right out of my head. I don't know what's going on here." And to get
See,
a
I'm
hold
glad
of
that my son Joel knows how to do all this computer stuff because I have no patience for it, for all this technology, you
yeah.
know.
And I was working on it from the time our show ended until 7 o'clock this morning. And I thought I had it all down packed, and all of a sudden, here we go. Oh, we're having 2 shows, but one of them ain't working. But this one's not.
And look what happened. Christine, couldn't get in. She was hoping we had Zoom or something, but she
Yeah,
couldn't get in,
I
you
don't use
know.
Zoom. I know a lot of people use Zoom before they actually will pay for a regular platform. Um, but I've never used Zoom. I've never even gone on a show that has used Zoom. And so I don't know anything about Zoom. Not
Right?
a thing. So yeah, it's
We'll just probably, well, I'll try to work with her this week and see if we can't get her to figure it out, and then we get her on another time because, she could talk about some books that she's writing and what
yes.
she's been doing, yeah.
She did send me a message back, and I sent her another link, but apparently she just can't get in. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what's
Her
going
screen
on.
showed up blank when she went to, it's like,
Yeah, yeah, it's strange. I'm not
right?
sure.
Pretty
I
crazy.
nobody. I mean, nobody's messed with my computer because, like I said, I have that defense thing, and if anybody's trying to get into any of my accounts or into my computer in any way, shape, or form, my whole entire computer screen will flash red. And when that happens, um, my defense kicks them out. They can't get in. So maybe she has some kind of either a VPN
Oh.
or something that's clashing with my security. So that could also be a problem.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm telling you, it's really weird. And the world's going cuckoo. And I'm sitting back laughing at all the cuckoo because that's about all I can do. And the whole thing that keeps going through my mind every time I see something, I'm like, well, you can't fix stupid. That's a motto. I need to get a shirt made with that on the front of it. It says, you just can't fix stupid. You'll go gray trying.
Right?
That's the note of the day. You cannot fix stupid, you will go gray trying. Yep. Yep. I smell a t-shirt coming. So, so is there anything else that you want to discuss in the last 30 minutes? Or, guys, what about if we just cut it short? Susie's got some stuff to do. And I probably need to take a nap before I go on Glenn's
I
show.
would say you have probably been up, what, 24 hours at least?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I am supposed to do that show tonight from 8 o'clock until 10. And
I
then
think we had a great conversation, Mark. You came in
oh,
to save the day. Yeah.
I'm telling you, we got to get him a gift. Somebody's got to send him something because he was like saved our butts a lot of times. And he always has a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I was going to ask him because either
Yeah.
he said it and I missed it about where he got that stuff. I went on to his Truth Social and looked at it. And I don't know where he got it. Did he say where he got it? The
I don't know.
templates and stuff that he posted? If he did, I missed it.
Right?
Yeah.
Norma said if you had a firewall, it could be keeping her out.
That might be something that's inside my defense.
Yeah.
And
Because when
I can't
I
take that down because it is
yeah,
it was actually it was put in here by somebody else.
right? But everybody else gets the link, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I sent it from my phone to hers, and she couldn't get it, so I don't know.
yeah. I sent it through Messenger.
Yeah.
She accepted my friend's request, and I sent her another one.
Right?
But every once in a while, Tommy has that same screen that'll come up when I send him the link, and he's
Oh,
trying, and eventually we get it right.
okay.
So I don't know if it's something going on her end to where
Maybe because she's
she's not
in
allowed to get
England
out.
or something, or they're maybe
The
maybe
king
it's
out
her
that
internet
way,
or something. Yeah.
right? Might not want her to get on, so I don't
Right?
know. They don't want Christine
Oh man, we love
on for some
Christine.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we have some problems. I'm telling you, and I I might have to go back and just take everything out for Rumble and just do the uploads because I'm about at my wits end with trying to go live on there. It's crazy,
Yeah.
crazy stupid. I'm like, what is the problem here?
We need to
Yeah,
get that
Norma, I
figured
would be
out somehow,
afraid
huh?
to, I'm not computer safe, so I would be afraid to do some changes because I would probably delete everything off my computer with
Right.
one button. That's my luck. I could, you know what I could do? I could get a hold of Mike out there in Maine, Andy's friend. He sends me a link to log into, and it has a special code. And then I just sit back, and he takes over my computer and goes through and cleans stuff up and deletes stuff I don't need. So I guess I could have him come in and check it out. Maybe I've got something going on in here that, yeah, it's
Huh.
it's crazy.
Right.
Crazy, I tell you. Well, guys, it has been a long day for me, definitely. And I
I
know Susan's
know.
got some more stuff that she's got to go run around and do today.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on the tractor and fix my driveway.
Yeah, I think I need a nap. But I'm afraid that if I take one, I won't get up.
Well, you get some rest and have some good dreams, and then let me know what you find out.
Right? Yeah. You too, Julie. You guys, thank you all for
Thank you
coming.
guys. Yeah, I was gonna say thank all guests for everybody. We love you guys, and we're so
Yes.
grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps us company. Anyhow, so we're going to go ahead and go. And next Friday, I have Tony Rodriguez coming on.
Woo,
Uh,
Tony! I love Tony.
yes,
Oh my God.
Tony will be on, and we'll be at our normal time hours. Rebecca, I'm doing the Sports Cat Misfit show. It's a crazy show. It's not for the faint at heart. Denise gets on there and laughs at us. It's wild. So it's a crack up show. Anyways, so yeah, that's where I'll be tonight, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And yeah, hopefully I may be there in body, but I don't think I'll be there in mind, but we'll see.
you,
We'll
you
see.
may be sleeping right through it tonight,
Yeah, I'll be like, wake me up when it's my turn.
right?
Oh. All right, guys. We will see you next weekend with Tony Rodriguez, and I've yet to schedule Saturday show, so we'll see what happens. We will talk
Right.
to you guys later, and please be kind to one another. Have a good rest of your weekend,
God
and
bless everybody. Have a great week.
good night or goodbye. Good day.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.